There is a profound paradox in human dynamics, one that a Stoic must understand to navigate the world with wisdom. Sometimes, the most powerful way to command a person's full attention is to fully withdraw your own. This is not a game. It is a fundamental law of psychological gravity. When a woman senses that you are no longer chasing, no longer orbiting her reality, no longer emotionally invested in her reaction, it triggers a powerful and unsettling shift in her perception. She goes from being the center of your universe to a star that is no longer being observed. And this forces a series of questions within her mind. Why has his focus shifted? What or who has become more important? Did I misjudge the value of his attention? But let us be clear on the most critical point, a point where most men fail. This only works when the shift is real. You cannot fake this state. A woman's intuition for emotional energy is razor sharp. If you are merely pretending to be indifferent, while your mind is still in turmoil, still obsessing, she will sense the performance. She will feel the weakness behind the mask, and the entire effect will be lost. The true power, the palpable energy shift she cannot ignore, comes when you have genuinely pulled your focus back. When you have made the Stoic choice to prioritize your own peace, your own growth, and your own self-respect above her validation. This guide is not about learning to play games. It is about learning to reclaim your own sovereignty. It is about understanding the natural consequences that unfold when a man stops aiming his power at a woman and starts directing it inward to build himself. So, if you have ever wondered what truly happens when you stop chasing, stay with me. We are about to pull back the curtain on the raw, honest truth. Principle 1. She feels it before you say a word. The first thing a man must comprehend is the invisible language of energy and attention. A woman feels the shift in your focus long before it is announced by your words or your actions. This is not mysticism. It is a highly attuned intuitive sense, honed by millennia of social dynamics. When you are chasing her, your energy is a constant forward pressure. Your thoughts are oriented toward her. Your attention is a resource you are freely giving away, hoping she will accept it. She feels this as a constant warmth, a predictable presence in her life. It can be comforting, but it can also become background noise. The moment you make the genuine, internal decision to let go, the moment you redirect that powerful beam of attention from her back toward your own purpose, your logos, the temperature changes. You do not need to announce, "I'm done." You do not need to block her number or make some grand, dramatic exit. The real work is silent and internal. All you have to do is mentally withdraw your assent to the idea that she is the source of your peace or turmoil. Let me paint the picture. You used to be the one to initiate the good morning text. You were the one asking about her day. Your energy was always available, always seeking connection. She knew you were there. Then, you make the shift. The good morning texts stop, not out of spite, but because your morning is now dedicated to your own disciplined routine. You don't respond right away. Not as a tactic, but because you are in a state of deep work. More than any single action, she feels the absence of your focus. And that is when her internal radar, long dormant, lights up. She may not say anything at first. She may even act unbothered, continuing her life as normal. But behind that facade, her mind is cataloging the changes. He used to always react to my stories. Why hasn't he replied to my text from this morning? Is he seeing someone else? This emotional shift from certainty to uncertainty stirs something in her that is difficult to ignore. The emotional safety net you provided is gone. Let me be honest with you from a woman's perspective. When we feel we are losing the attention of a man we thought we had secured, it doesn't just bruise the ego. It shakes our sense of the dynamic. It's not about control in a malicious sense. It's about perceived value. If you were once invested and now you are withdrawing, we don't just think, "Oh, he's busy." We instinctively wonder why. Did I misjudge the situation? Was I not as valuable to him as I thought? What has changed in him that has made me less of a priority? That is when the second guessing kicks in. That is when she starts initiating, sending random texts. Liking old photos, she is probing, testing, trying to feel that familiar warmth of your attention again. She is reacting to your shift before you have spoken a single word about it. So understand this. The most powerful moves are made in silence. Your genuine decision to reclaim your focus is a palpable force. If your energy is no longer revolving around her, she will feel it, instinctively, emotionally, and immediately. Principle 2. Why your silence hits her harder than any text. This leads us to the second principle, the immense power of deliberate silence. A man who has found his center understands that silence is not an empty space. It is a space filled with meaning. The man who is still emotionally entangled believes he must use words to get his point across. If a woman pulls away, he sends a long, emotional text explaining his feelings. He calls to argue his case. He seeks closure. He uses words as a tool to try and control her emotional state, to force a reaction, to beg for understanding. But silence, true, calm, deliberate silence, is infinitely more powerful. It is not the angry, pouting silence of a child. It is the peaceful, detached silence of a man who has returned to his own inner citadel. When a woman senses that you have emotionally withdrawn, when you are no longer reacting, no longer explaining, no longer chasing its stings in a very specific way, because silence from a man she once had constant access to forces her to confront a truth she was not prepared for. She no longer has influence over your emotional state. A man's silence carries more weight than his words, because it tells her he no longer needs her validation. He is not trying to win her back. He is not trying to prove a point. He has simply let go. And that is more terrifying to her sense of the dynamic than your anger ever could be. When you are angry or reactive, she still feels like she matters. She knows she can push your buttons. She can see that you still care, even if it's in a negative way. But when you are quiet, when you move on with no resistance, no drama, that is when she begins to spiral. She is left alone in the echo chamber of her own mind. She replays everything. She tries to decode what your silence means. Because now it's not about a fight between the two of you. It's about a fight within herself. Trying to understand where and why she lost you. Most women are accustomed to being chased, even after they are the ones to end things. They expect the emotional text. They expect you to seek closure. They expect to remain a resident in your mind. But when you go quiet, not in a manipulative way, but in a peaceful, detached, I am good either way manner, it completely disrupts her emotional pattern. Suddenly, she is the one left with the uncertainty. She starts to wonder if she miscalculated. If perhaps you were never as attached as she assumed. If perhaps she made a grave mistake. This is why silence is so powerful. It is not cold, it is controlled. It is not dismissive, it is centered. That calm, non-reactive energy communicates a profound truth. I know my value, and I do not need to chase you or argue with you to prove it. My peace is my own. So if you are tempted to send that long, emotional message, pause. Your silence may already be saying everything she truly needs to hear. Principle 3. What she's secretly hoping you'll do. When she comes back, let's be brutally honest about something most women will never admit. If she is the one who left or pulled away, and now she is circling back into your orbit, she is not just returning. She is conducting a test. She wants to see which version of you is still available to her. Her return is a moment of profound assessment. And she is secretly hoping for one of two outcomes, depending on her own level of self-awareness. The first possibility, and the more common one, is that she is hoping you are still the same. She is hoping you are still emotionally available, still waiting, still the man she left behind. She assumes your feelings haven't changed. So she sends a casual, low-investment text to a stranger or a reply to your story. She is watching your reaction like a hawk. If you instantly melt, if you respond with excitement and relief, if you immediately start chasing again, you have just confirmed what she hoped to be true, that she still has complete power over you. It may feel good for a moment, like things are going back to normal. But you have just reset the old, broken dynamic. The imbalance that made her lose respect in the first place is still there. You have failed the test. The second, more powerful possibility is that she is secretly hoping you are different. She is hoping that in her absence you have grown. that you have become stronger, more grounded, perhaps even a little colder in the sense that you are no longer emotionally dependent. She is hoping to find a man she now has to re-earn. This is the twist. When she feels like she cannot just slide back into your life as if nothing happened, it reignites attraction on a powerful level. Why? Because women are drawn to strength, to emotional independence, to men who have a strong sense of their own value. So if she left, and now she is testing the waters, you must not rush in like a puppy who finally saw its owner. Do not overshare. Do not assume you are back together. You must hold your frame. Your response should be calm, polite, but slightly detached. You are not angry, but you are also not overly eager. You are communicating through your centered vibe that your life moved on quite well without her. She is checking your energy. She wants to know, are you still emotionally reactive? Or have you grown into a man she now has to work to impress? When a woman realizes that getting you back is not as simple as sending a cute text, that is when she truly starts to invest again. That is when her ego takes a step back, and her genuine feelings have the space to step forward. Do not be quick to give her what she thinks she wants, which is immediate emotional certainty. Let her feel the contrast. Let her notice the difference between the man you were and the man you have become. Principle 4: why acting unbothered isn't the same as being unbothered. Now we must address the most crucial element of this entire process: authenticity. There is a vast, cavernous difference between pretending not to care and actually being at peace with letting her go. And as women, we can feel that difference immediately. You might think you're being stoic. You're not texting her. You're giving her space. But if underneath that performance, your mind is still a tempest, if your heart is racing every time she views your story, if you are crafting your social media posts specifically for her to see, we feel it. We sense the neediness behind the silence. And it makes your entire projection look like a weak performance. True detachment, true stoic peace, is not loud. It is not strategic in a manipulative sense. It is not about waiting to see if she notices you've gone cold. It is calm. It is quiet. It is an indifference that is free of resentment. And that is the energy that actually makes a woman stop and reevaluate everything. Women are tuned into your emotional presence. When a man says, "I'm over it," but his energy is still hoping, still hurting, still trying to provoke a reaction, we know. Even if we don't call it out, we know. But when a man has truly let go, when he is genuinely focused on himself, genuinely finding fulfillment without us, and not playing a role to try and win us back, that is when we feel the ground shift beneath our feet. That is when it begins to mess with our heads. Because suddenly, we don't feel that emotional leash we used to be able to tug on. There is no guaranteed response. There is no invisible access to your emotional state. And that is when attraction can spark again. Not because you are being manipulative, but because you are being centered. You have reclaimed your energy. This is what true stoicism is about. It's not silence with hidden intentions. It's not withholding communication to punish or control. It is about achieving emotional clarity. It is knowing what is in your control and what is not, and finding peace in that distinction. So, if you are acting unbothered, but secretly still checking her page, still obsessing, still hoping, that is not stoicism. That is emotional theater. And the performance is rarely convincing. This emotional reversal is a powerful phenomenon. For the men here who have successfully walked this path, share in the comments one thing you focused on to make your detachment real, not just an act. Your practical wisdom is a valuable service to this community. Real peace doesn't need an audience. It doesn't seek validation, it just is. And ironically, that genuine, quiet strength is what pulls us in. Because when a man no longer needs our attention to feel good about himself, it forces us to see him in a completely different and far more powerful light. Principle 5, 6, and 7 are combined and rewritten into the following 3 principles for greater depth and philosophical alignment. Principle 5. The emotional reversal within her. When you truly stop chasing, it does more than just change your behavior. It initiates a profound emotional reversal deep inside her. It's not just that she starts to miss the attention. The entire emotional burden of the interaction shifts from your shoulders to hers. Let me walk you through how this plays out from our side. When you are chasing, pursuing, and investing, you are the one doing all the emotional work. You are the one wondering, does she like me? What is she thinking? Did I say the right thing? You are carrying the full weight of the uncertainty. We in turn feel in control. We feel a sense of emotional certainty. We know where we stand with you, even if we are unsure about our own feelings. But the moment your chase genuinely stops, the moment you become still and your focus shifts inward, we feel that certainty evaporate. It is like an emotional silence that is deafening, and it hits hard. You might think we are carefree and enjoying the space, but that is rarely the full truth. Internally, our minds begin to race with the very same questions you used to ask. Wait, is he really done? Did I push him too far? Why doesn't he seem to care anymore? Has he moved on to someone else? Even if we were not sure how much we wanted you before, your silence forces us to confront something we did not expect, the absence of emotional security. That is where the reversal begins. We start reflecting, not because you begged us to, but because you didn't. We start wondering what you're thinking, not because you're sharing everything, but because you are sharing nothing. Your calmness becomes confusing. Your detachment becomes a mystery. And when we no longer feel that emotional grip we once had, it creates a vacuum. And that vacuum pulls us in. You are no longer chasing, so now we are the ones doing the emotional work. We are the ones overthinking. We are the ones checking your story, wondering why you're not watching ours. We are sensing your detachment, and we start to react. Your genuine, grounded absence does the work that your frantic presence never could. And if we really valued you deep down, that is when the regret kicks in. That is when we start to feel the loss we didn't want to admit before. When you stop chasing a woman, she is not just reacting to your silence. She is reacting to her own newfound emotional uncertainty, and that is how the dynamic truly changes. Principle 6: Discerning genuine interest from emotional fishing. Now, we must apply the virtue of wisdom. Once you have successfully pulled back, and she begins to re-engage, you will face a new test. Not every time a woman reaches back out is a sign of genuine interest. You must learn to discern the difference between a real desire to reconnect and a superficial attempt to regain her sense of control. I call this emotional fishing. When a woman realizes you've stopped chasing, it can shake her sense of control. She may come back, not because she sees your value now, but simply because she is uncomfortable with the silence and misses the feeling of being wanted. This is what emotional fishing looks like. She will send a random low-effort "Hey, stranger" text. She might reply to your story with a laughing emoji. She might even throw out a casual "miss you." Pay close attention to what follows. If there is no genuine effort beyond that surface level text, no real questions about your life, no attempt to have a meaningful conversation, she is not back for you. She is just checking to see if she can still get a bite. She wants to know that she still has a piece of you. Many men fall for this first breadcrumb. They respond too quickly, with too much enthusiasm. They re-engage emotionally before she has earned that access again. And just like that, boom. She feels the validation she was seeking, her discomfort is soothed, and she often fades away again. You are back where you started. Genuine interest feels completely different. It feels clear, it shows up with consistency. It has a softness and a vulnerability to it. She will ask how you are, and she will actually wait for the answer. She might even acknowledge what happened between you. She is not just trying to hook you so she can retreat again. A man practicing Stoic discernment observes without immediate judgment. When she sends that "hey" text, you do not need to ignore her, but you also must not reward that low effort with high investment. Your response should be calm, polite, and brief. You mirror her level of investment, and then you watch. Does she try again, but with more depth this time? Does she put in the effort to restart a real conversation? Or does she vanish the second you don't give her the ego boost she was fishing for? Her actions will give you all the data you need. Learn to tell the difference between a woman's attention and her attraction, between her curiosity and her commitment. And you will never get pulled back into old, frustrating cycles again. Principle 7: Be the man she must rise. For this brings us to our final and most empowering principle. For too long, you may have been playing the role of the emotional standby, the backup plan. You are not her boyfriend, not her friend, you are just there, on call, emotionally available whenever she needs a little boost. That stops today. Because the second a woman realizes you have truly lost interest, she is faced with a choice: either she rises to meet your new standard, or she loses access to you forever. The problem is, most men don't stay in that position of power. They fold too quickly. They confuse her sudden breadcrumbs of attention with genuine intention. And they go from being the man who had standards, right back to the guy sitting in her emotional waiting room. A woman will use your emotional presence as a cushion. Not because she is evil, but because it is comfortable. She knows you care. She knows you'll listen. But this does not make her respect you. It makes you convenient. So if she is circling back only after you have gone silent, do not be flattered. Be focused. You have one job now: hold the line. Make her earn her way back into your space. And you do this not to punish her, but to protect your own self-respect. A lot of women won't say this out loud, but we do not value what is always available. We value what challenges us to be better. And if she is serious about you, she will rise. She will reflect. She will reach out with more than just breadcrumbs. She will show accountability. She will ask how you feel, not just throw out a phrase to see if you'll bite. But if you give her full emotional access again, without seeing that genuine effort first, you have just confirmed to her that you were waiting all along. You were still hoping. You are still hers, even if she is not yours. You do not need to be rude. You do not need to play games. But you do need to make it clear through your calm, controlled demeanor that if she wants to be in your life again, she has to come correct. No confusion. No half-hearted attention. You are not her therapist. You are not her plan B. You are not the guy who waits around hoping. You are the man who knows his value. The man who walks with clarity. The man who only gives his energy where it is matched. And once a woman sees and feels that version of you, the game changes for good. Here is something most women will never say out loud, but it is a truth you must carry with you. The moment a man genuinely loses interest is the moment a woman is forced to pay attention. Not with fake indifference, not with pretending, not with playing games. But when a man is truly done chasing, done proving, and done needing anything from her, that is when the entire dynamic shifts. That is when she feels the ground move beneath her feet. That is when she goes from assuming you will always be there, to realizing she may have just lost something rare. This is not about learning tactics to manipulate a response. It is about understanding a fundamental principle of self-sovereignty. The goal is not to chase scraps of affection, fall for breadcrumbs, or decode mixed signals. The goal is to stand in your own power, so clear, so grounded, and so unshakable that you no longer have time for such games. You do not need to convince any woman of your worth. You simply need to stop handing out that worth to people who have not earned it. If this guide has helped you understand where your true power lies, then like this video as a signal of your commitment to your own path. Share it with another man who is still caught in the exhausting cycle of chasing. And of course, subscribe to the Stoic Manhood Guide to continue the great work of building a life that requires validation from no one. Remember this always: when a woman realizes you have lost interest, she does not get to decide what happens next. You do. And that choice is where your real power lies.